Running split tests will change your life and they will change your bank account. Now, one of my biggest lessons in 2023 was the importance of running experiments, right? Being a mad scientist, as my boss and mentor likes to call it, but also being an experimentation machine, right? One of the biggest lessons. I learned so much on the importance of experimenting, right? And when it comes to experiments, what's super important is that you actually run split tests. Running split tests is a great way to actually run and organize and operate your experiments. So let me explain to you quickly what a split test is and how it can relate to your life. And not only your life, how it can relate to your bank account, right? So split tests, sometimes known as an A/B test, is actually a term used in marketing. And the idea behind it is you test two different variables, and by testing two different variables, you can see which one performs the best. Maybe, I mentioned before A/B tests, maybe variable A wins or variable B wins. You put two variables together in a test side by side, and you send half of your traffic or half of the visitors to one test, and you send the other half of the visitors to another test. And from there, you can see data. You can see which split test performs the best. Now, if you still kind of don't understand what I'm saying, and maybe that's me explaining it in a bad way, not articulating it that well, right? I want to improve my articulation and so you can increase your comprehension on what I'm saying. Let's use a scenario. So all of you right now are watching a YouTube video. Now, what I could do is I could have two different YouTube videos that I record to get my point across to teach what a split test is, right? Video A, teaching about split tests, and video B, teaching about split tests. Two different videos. And what I could do is put both of those videos out there, get the same amount of people watching one video as the other, so have even numbers. And then from there, I can look at retention or watch time. I can see, okay, video A, people on average watch 50% of the video, and video B, people on average watch 75% of the video. So by doing this side-by-side comparison, that's what a split test is essentially. It's a comparison of two different variables. I could see that split test B, or the video B, got a higher retention rate. It got 75% of people watching. And so what that means is video B was probably more engaging, more interesting, right? It had longer retention. So what I could do then is I could say, all right, variable B, video B is the winner. Now what I can do is I can run another split test. I can use the winner and create a new video, and again, run them side by side and see, can I now beat video B? And if I can, that's great. You can continue to improve. So you can imagine over time, let's say you're doing this in your business and you're testing your landing page where you're sending visitors to, right? You're sending people to a website. You run two different websites or landing pages side by side. You can find the winner and you can see which one actually makes you the most money, right? So that's how you can really optimize your online web presence, okay? Through running split tests, through testing these different variables, okay? And so what I wanted to talk to you about today, after that kind of long introduction on what a split test is the three things that you need to keep in mind when running a split test. These are the three most important things I've learned by running probably hundreds of split tests at this stage. Literally, when I'm doing marketing, which is my role right now, I test everything. So we as a company, but me, managing it and overseeing it, but very much what we do as a company is anytime we send an email, we always send two different emails, right? Maybe we're just testing the subject line, maybe we're testing the body of the email, but we always send two emails. Why? We can see which email performed better, and then we've got the learnings from that. We know, okay, this email did better, and then we can make a hypothesis because X, Y, Z. And then in the next email, we can kind of test if that's true or not true, right? We test price, we test landing pages, we test offers, pretty much anything you can think of, we test. So I've run, well over 100 split tests at this stage, probably, approaching the thousands really, if you look over my career in marketing. So I've definitely learned a lot from running split tests. but I want to go through the 3 most important things you need to keep in mind when it comes to running a split test. So, number 1, control is king. Control is king. So what does that mean? That basically means that when you're running a split test, you have 2 different, this is the language of a split test. So let me just write number 1, control is king. So control is very important. And basically, when you're running a split test, this is the terminology. You have control versus challenger. Now, very simply, control is your split test A. It's your original. And your challenger is what you're challenging against your control, right? So you always have a control and you have a challenger. Control is your original. Challenger is the new split test that you're competing. You're competing these 2 together. All right. So control is king. And what that basically means is anytime you're running your split test, make sure that you keep your control up. And when you're running a challenger, let's say your challenger wins, right? Let's say that you're running a landing page A versus landing page B. Let's say landing page B wins. What you do is you declare your challenger, landing page B, as the winner. So that becomes the new control. And then if you want to test against your control, you can create a new split test and this will become your challenger, right? So you're always competing, but you're always keeping your control. You're not making changes to your control. Anytime you want to make a change, you make the change in the new split test, right? Second thing I wanted to talk on, big changes, big results. Small changes, small results. Big changes, big results. So we're just going to call it big changes, big results. Small changes, small results. And what I want you to keep in mind here is this is a mistake I see all the time people make. And what people do when they're running a split test, they get super excited. Maybe they're using a software like ClickFunnels or personalbrand.io or whatever it is, some sort of software that allows you to split test. People get really excited and they're like, what can I test? So what do? They change the color of the button. So they have the control has a red button and the challenger has a green button. And what happens? Well, almost nothing. Why? Because small changes yield small results. Big changes, big results, okay? So what's important about this is you test big things. So what's an example of a big thing? Well, maybe you want to split test your pricing, right? You want to see which is your best price point. Now, what would be an example of a small change? A small change would be $7.99 versus $8.99, right? It's a very close price point. It's probably not going to make that much difference. So small change, small results. If you want to find big changes and get big results, maybe you test $1 versus $1,000, right? You're testing 2 different extreme variables, right? So always remember that you need to be testing big changes, especially at the beginning. And lastly, the third principle I wanted to teach you. Now, by the way, I'm going to give you a bonus as well. But the third principle is, we're going to call this one variable. One variable. And basically the concept behind this is you only change one variable at a time. Now, why do you do that? So let me first give you an example of not following this principle and changing multiple variables. So let's say you got a landing page with a headline, a video, a sales video, and a button, right? That's one split. That's your control. Now, if you really want to run a proper split test, you should maintain changing one variable only. So maybe on your challenger, right, your page that's competing, what you do is, sorry, my computer's just kind of turned off here very weirdly. But what you do is, so you've got your headline, your video, and your button, your call to action button. What's an example of doing it incorrectly and changing multiple variables? You use a different headline, you have a different video, you have a different button, and then maybe you have some additional copy or content on the page. What changing one variable is, and what you're meant to do is maybe you just change the headline, you keep the video the same, and you keep the call to action button the same. Or maybe you just change the video and you keep the headline and the button the same. Now, why you only want to change one variable at a time is because otherwise you don't know what is actually causing the results. So maybe you change the headline and the video. You don't know, is the video change getting you the results, or is the headline change getting you the results? So the reason you only change one item at a time is because it allows you to understand what change is driving the results, right? You have to test one element at a time. And super quickly, the bonus I wanted to give you is, let me see my notes here, is statistical significance. And statistical significance is basically just a fancy way of saying you need enough data, right? Because a common mistake I see people making when running split tests is, let's get this looking good. A common mistake I see people when running split tests is statistical significance is they run the split test for too short and they get excited by the results that they see on day one. So they launch something and they're like, wow, this red button is getting 3 times more clicks than the green button. Let's declare the red button the winner. So right, the red button got 3 clicks, the green button got 1 click, right? And they're like, wow, this is smashing. The red button got 3 times more clicks, right? But you got 4 clicks in total. Remember, 3 plus 1 is 4. It's not the best, it's not statistically significant. And so what you need to do is you need to run it for a long enough period of time to get enough data that you can actually declare something a winner, right? So what often happens, someone sees that the red button got 3 clicks versus 1 click on the green. They declare it the winner. But what would have happened over time, maybe, is who knows, in 10 days time or 20 days time, the green button could have been the winner, right? And it could have just been on that day, out of those 4 clicks, just by chance, the red button was clicked on more times, right? And it happens all the time. You can never call a result too quickly. So 2 frameworks to use to declare statistical significance. Number 1, we got this number from Facebook. It takes a Facebook campaign out of the learning stage. I don't know if it still works like this, but it used to be when you were getting 52 conversions per week, right? So with that number, we try to get 52 conversions on each split before making a decision. Or alternatively, the best way to do it is use a statistical significance calculator. There's a website, neilpatel.com. If you search Neil Patel statistical significance calculator, you will find a great calculator you can use. And it's going to tell you, this is 90% statistically significant, or whatever it is. So give that a go. So to summarize, start running split tests in your marketing. And run them in your life as well, by the way. You can split test different diets. You can split test different ways to meet people if you want to develop, get into a relationship. You can split test different spots for breakfast if you're looking for the perfect split test spot. You can split test different morning routines. You can split test different cars, right? That's what when you go to drive a car, when you're looking to buy a car, you take it for a test drive. What's that? That's just running a test, right? It's in the name, test drive. So that's kind of running a split test. You could drive a Tesla for one day. You could drive a Mercedes-Benz for another day. You could drive a Ferrari the next day. See which car you like the best, right? But always remember these lessons. Number 1, maintain your control. Control is king. Number 2, make big changes for big results, small changes for small results. Only test one variable at a time. And lastly, make sure you've got statistical significance. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this session. Maybe not my best presentation today, so let me know in the comments if you think I could improve. I felt like the delivery was a little bit off, but that's exactly why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to develop my public speaking skills and my ability to communicate, right? So I'm not going to hit a home run every time. I'm not saying I've hit a home run yet in my YouTube career, but thank you for listening. I'm going to upload this anyway because we're getting that one video a day, and it'll be cool in a few months' time if you're still following along. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, do so now. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment below. And what we're going to be able to do is look back in a few months' time. We can rewatch this video and be like, wow, we've come a long way. Or maybe we've gone backwards. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.